Most of you are students, current students now. Am I right?
Yes, Dada. We are studying currently.
So, just before starting my presentation, one thing I want to say that this is an interactive session. Okay, so this is not a formal presentation. I would not want it to keep it like that. So, if you have any question anytime, just raise your hand using the raise hand option at Teams, and I will stop and I will answer your question. Okay, so anytime you can stop me and ask your question. And I would request everyone to ask question and whatever it comes in your mind, because this is for interaction. It's not like I will come and say something and you don't get, or it really did not get you that way. So I would be very very happy if you ask questions. So don't hesitate to ask questions. So can I start or wait for a few minutes? Hello.
Yes, you can start. You can start now.
Okay. So I'm turning off my camera. I think my screen is visible. Can anybody confirm? Then I'll go to.
Yes, yes, yes.
Thank you. So good evening, everyone. So as I said, as I was given a warm welcome. Uh, so my name is Alinjar Dan. I graduated from NIT Durgapur in 2018. Now I am pursuing PhD in IIT Delhi. So I will talk of my journey in this interactive session, and I will try to share the experience with you, and not just flatly what are the study things, or pla- like what are the steps or preparations. I would want to share the philosophical part also. So at any time, as I mentioned earlier also, this is for people who have just joined. Uh, you can raise your hand in Teams. It is not going. Okay, you can raise your hands and ask me questions. So just before going to BTech, as the title is Journey from BTech to PhD, but just before going to BTech, I will give a brief details about myself. So I am born and one second. So my hometown is Gobordanga. It is in West Bengal. I am born and brought up here. This is approximately 50 kilometers from Kolkata. So my schooling from class 1 to class 12 was here. Then, as you know, after 12th, I shifted. I went from Govardhan to Durgapur. So it is NIT Durgapur, as most of you are here, all of you probably. And there I had 4 years. And then after 2018, I moved to New Delhi. Obviously, physically, still I am at Govardhan, at my hometown because of COVID. But this is my academic journey so far, these three places. So quickly, I come to my BTech life. As you can see in the left side of the slide, there is a picture. So this is from our farewell. I mean, not formal farewell, but this is from photo shoot days after 8th sem. As you can see, we made M dot E. We tried to make it, and so this is quite a normal thing. But I think due to this COVID thing, nowadays people miss that. I mean, the current student or the graduate, uh, probably will miss it. I don't want to be negative but pessimistic, but you may miss it. But this is what we had. So coming to my BTech life, so it was from 2014 to 18. So the first thing when you go from your school to a college or mainly a hostel life, so the first thing that happens to you that you can interact with people, and you are alone. You are not with your parents. You are not under the umbrella of your parents. So that's a new thing. So even before study, these things first come at you, and it really depends how you accept it. Slowly, everyone gradually gets adjusted to it and like goes on with their life in hostel. So the important points are the interaction with people. This is very important, and this is not just from the societal point of view. Like it has an effect in your professional life as well. Probably in future mostly, but in that time also. This interaction with people, like as you can say that the below of this presentation, you can say a quote by Nobel laureate Professor Abhijit Banerjee. So he said the journey was a big part of my education, big part of a very specific part of my education. So the idea is when you go to a national college like central universities or where people from different states come. So not just different states, different social backgrounds come, and when you make a group with them or like you study together in a department, you just learn so many things. And in school, probably you still make groups. You are there with your close friends whom you have known for a long time. But when you come to college, then you just evolve as a person. So that is very important. That's the first part. Like when someone comes to college, especially at a college where which is residential and central university, this is very primary part. Now coming to the study portion. So I was from mechanical engineering department. Uh, so first to 8 semester, obviously we studied everything, whatever it was on course curricula. As most of you know that first 2 semester are for they are not focused on your department. That's common for every department. So first 2 semesters all like that, and then third to eighth we studied mechanical engineering. We started very basic fundamentals, and we ended up with a project at 8th semester. So the important part is for the study part, what I would focus on, or I had since I am sharing my experience, what I was very clear about that I had to learn the basic fundamentals of subjects which are in the which are taught in class. So you have to know those things basically first to do anything. Like if you want to continue with your mechanical engineering degree in future, that those are very fundamental things. And one thing I have mentioned here, that linear algebra. So I think most of you are, if there is anybody who has not passed fifth sem yet, so this would be a suggestion, and people who have passed, they would understand what I say, or probably would understand little in near future that linear algebra is very important. So we might not understand it. And honestly speaking, this was in my fifth semester. This was an optional elective outside department we had to take. I had given mathematics, which was linear algebra was taught, of course. So that I had given as first choice. We can fill up choices. So linear algebra is very important because I gave primarily for my GATE preparation. Like that would help my GATE preparation. I would come how whatever preparations I had study wise for the throughout BTech years. So my intention was that when, like many of you are in BTech, so there is another way we look at things, like which subject we get more marks so that our CGPA improves. So these are also factors. So on that factor also it was a good course. So from both angles we took it. I took it, and that is very important because and linear algebra is not specifically important for mechanical engineering department. I think there are people from other backgrounds also, if they are like electrical or anything. Like if you want to like last week one of my friends Shivali Subra Ghosh, she presented, she was talking about data science and she also mentioned it, the linear algebra is very important. She was also with me in that course. So linear algebra is fundamental. Like if you want to do any higher studies, you would need this at in any department probably. So this is very vast thing and basics are very important to understand. And as you know, the summer vacation time, summer vacations are generally 2 months, the time period of summer vacation. So we spend like at second year after fourth semester, MATLAB and CATIA. MATLAB is a computation software and CATIA is a drawing software. This was taught for almost 1 month in our institution itself. Like I stayed back. There are many friends of mine who also stayed back, and this was taught to us. It was really useful. Like that gave the fundamental, and that was really useful for when I joined PhD. I got to understand why is it useful. Like MATLAB, I can say MATLAB is bread and butter. If you don't know MATLAB, it will be really difficult for you to progress. So at least in my area of research, I can say, or this will be very common observation for any researcher. MATLAB is very important. And after third year, the compulsory internship or vocational training, as we say, whatever we can say it, I was lucky to do it in CMERI. I did a project there on a dynamics. So this was my BTech life. I mean, in a nutshell, whole study and the societal perspective from societal perspective. So now I will come the motivation. Like, why did I want to do PhD or go higher studies? Honestly speaking, PhD was not in my thought. I wanted to do higher studies. Basically, I wanted to go step by step, which people generally follow. MTech, then PhD. So the motivation was love for the subject first point. Obviously, because whatever it may be, I love my basic fundamentals as I mentioned in last presentation that I did love them. So I like to study about them. And there should and I had a fascination like what are the research was being conducted. Like the main thing is that whatever we read at BTech level, they are discovered quite ago, like 100 years ago probably, 50 years ago, 100 years ago. They are not new. So what are the improvements? What are their usefulness in research work? That I was interested to know. And of course, I was very interested for teaching. Like this may not be very common with everybody. That this thing I had in my mind, or this I liked. As many of you like in college, in hostel life, especially people who stay in hostel. I know now everybody is staying in home, but at least for the time period you stayed in hostel, we do a lot of group study. So we teach somebody something, and they teach somebody. So it happens this whole process. So I actually loved the whole process, and when especially I got a different kind of satisfaction every time when I am trying to make somebody understand something and he or she understands it. That was quite good. So that was also a part that why should I choose PhD, because PhD is the way to go for teaching further. So that was also a motivation for me. And obviously I got encouragement from other people. I would specially mention Professor NB Hui. He was my BTech supervisor, project supervisor in BTech. So it and just not encouragement. I mean, when I was uh, applying for PMRF, so PMRF came, I would slowly come how I applied or what are the processes. So on the like Professor NB Hui, I was doing that was 8th semester, and we are, as you know, in 8th semester, everybody works for BTech project. 7th semester, they don't do that much, but 8th semester, everybody does, at least most of the people. So we are doing it, and we asked, like, there was one friend of mine also with me, Durbadal Kundu. Uh, we asked that, sir, we want to apply, can you help us with a research proposal? So basically, PM asked for a research proposal. So, sir gladly agreed. Like, so then I prepared a draft. It went through a lot of iterations. Sir corrected it. Then again did it. Again, sir corrected. So, sir was really helpful. So that research proposal was like a lot of clarity it brought in, and of course, sir talked about why, like, if you go into PhD, what will be probable situations and probable contact the teacher, that the area I want to work on, who are the prominent known teachers in India across IITs. So these things, sir, really helped us. So this was my motivation. Now, does anybody have question at this point? Nobody has question.
No.
Okay. So from motivation, like, since you are motivated, now you have to start preparing. So what are the preparation? As I mentioned earlier, that I wanted to do higher studies from third year. That was always the plan. So I started great preparation from third year. So, and this actually, I did not join any coaching. That was self study mostly, and at the end, some mock tests I gave. But the focus was always GATE, and now when I say the focus is GATE, what does this mean? So I can't say about any every department, but at least for my department, or you can say about core departments, the important parts are the one needs to clear their conception, and that is beyond grade. So that is one thing always happens to us, that we should get good marks, but if even if we don't care that much about clearing conceptions, obviously they are related. If we want to get good marks, we have to clear our conception to some extent. But what I want to say is that if to go through a thorough, like whatever we are reading, how it is coming, or what are the usefulnesses. So these things, so that these things always give you more clarity always. This is my experience through whole PTech life, at least I would say, because after that whatever I studied, I have always thought what are the usefulnesses, but up to BTech life. So obviously I have not done it again every time. So slowly I started to understand that this is important. And when I realized that this is important, then I suppose things I have already studied. Then I went back. So okay, this is coming this way. This is that. This has this impact. So this is the reason we study this. So these things get cleared, and this clarity is important. And as much as, like, if you can clear your fundamentals on your subject, any interview will be easy. Any exam, I think after fourth year, any exam, anywhere you go, even for job interviews, this you automatically become very confident. So that really helps. So that is something I would suggest all of you who are right now BTech students to focus on, that you should think of clearing your conception. And obviously for preparation, like, we can clear conception from the departments, but engineering mathematics, uh, most of engineering mathematics are taught in our college, but there are some parts which are not taught. At least at our time it used to happen. From GATE syllabus, not everything was covered. So, like, you can read different books, different online materials, lectures, NPTEL lectures. So use them to clear preparation. Like, see, most of the parts, the GATE preparation and preparation for any interview, PhD interview, for this case, for my case, they basically coincide. They don't change much. They don't divert. And then, like, basics, obviously you have to clear. Now, really well, I mean, there is nothing to worry when I say really well. Really well means what I said earlier, that you know, like if there is a formulation, why it is coming, how is it related, what are the usefulnesses. These things one needs to be clear of. If someone can be clear of, the subject really becomes very interesting and clear. So that is really really helpful. So that was my experience of the whole 4 year study, as I say. We do this a lot in our plus two levels, but we don't do at the graduate level. So I think like we should keep doing it. And now coming to interview experience. So my PhD interview, like I, as you know, that I was a PMRF. I appeared for an interview for PMRF. So the interview was held at IIT Madras. I was first candidate in my panel. So that helped actually, because when you wait for a long time, especially something like PMRF was being organized for first time, and that was first day of of an interview of mechanical engineering all over, and people from all over the country were in IIT Madras for giving interview, mechanical engineering people. So there is this anticipation, like what kind of questions, what might be they asking. Now this is a new thing, so it helped that I didn't need to wait. I just first they said the first one from the panel was my name, so I went in. So that was good experience firstly. So then there were nerves, like as you know, it is always the case. You will always be a bit nervous, and that's not bad. That's a good thing. So interview experience is quite good. Firstly, there were professors from different IITs. There, I initially thought that there would be professors from IIT Madras only. But the professors were from different IITs. It was spread across IIT. So first thing, like what I realized after entering there is that it's new for me, it's new for them also. They have conducted many PhD interviews, of course. That's a yearly phenomena or semesterly phenomena, if I say so. At many IITs, they take PhD students at every semester. But there are some different things. So the for PMRF application, what we needed to do was obviously give our details and one research proposal, as I mentioned earlier. So the research proposal, like for most PhD interviews at IITs, as far as I know, that is not asked specifically at interview. That is asked later on, but at interview that is not asked. So so they went on with basic fundamental. They asked favorite topics first. So I went on with it. I said people from mechanical engineering understand what I said. I said solid mechanics, design, and fluid mechanics. So they asked some questions which are basic questions which I could answer. Then they loved mathematics, which I realized just after everything. Like for solid mechanics, they asked about Mode circle. Now from Mode circle, and now again mechanical people will understand. So for Mode circle, they went to mathematics details and not just engineering math. Like there were calculus from class 12 plus 2 level also. Like everything was related. As I was mentioning that if one has clarity that why is this happening, then only you can answer. It's not just if you know the formulas, if you just know the derivation, and like that way does not help. So they try to explore that when you study something, what do you know of it? Do you just know this, or do you know why is it here, or why like why do you need to learn this? So from motorcycle, like they went into details of math and not just engineering math, as I have mentioned it explicitly. And then they went on a research proposal, like a research proposal was given. Now I should mention this, that I will also, this is in future presentations also it is there, that this research proposal what you write at BTech level especially, this is never going to be a clear cut idea. This is never going to be. You can always improve it, and at least at that level you'll definitely improve it. As far as my personal experience goes, that was like when I look back right now, it was really vague. Like it was really vague. It was vague idea, but the area that was clear. So they did not do incur much about it, but like they could also understand. I think they took it for granted that the idea won't be that clear at BTech level. Like they asked my details, so I was just BTech pass out, not even pass out then. So they went on with it. Hello. Hello, is there any question? Hello, can anybody respond? Is there any question?
Yes.
No, no, no.
Okay, okay. So my voice is clear, right? My voice on screen.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So yeah, the research proposal they asked, so that they went through. It was not too much of grinding, I would say. They did not like they asked very details, but it was not too much of grinding. Like they got like sometimes at interviews I've heard or I've seen also I've experienced that they get on you like different people from us from different corners they're asking and they're throwing questions at you and not they like they are more interested in grinding you, so that did not happen in my case, so it was quite a good experience. So now I would want to share first what is PhD before I would talk about my PhD journey. Since you know I was admitted, so I was selected, so I got admission. Just I would start my PhD. So this I want to ask anybody present here that does anybody can anybody answer that what is this degree? What is PhD degree? What do you need to do to get PhD degree? Anybody students I would appreciate from BTech students. You can answer freely. Don't worry. Hello, anybody? Well, yeah.
So doctorate in philosophy.
Yeah. Who is it? Can you say your name?
Yeah, my name is Shovik Mukherjee.
Yeah. Yeah, doctorate in philosophy. But Shovik, like, what do you
Yes.
need to do? Like in BTech, you know,
I
you
mean,
have a
I have to research in very details on a particular topic.
yes. You have to do some extensive research in a particular topic. That's okay. That's a good. I mean, that's a answer, proper answer. But like, there is always a more clear answer. But can anybody attempt? Please, I would be very happy if anybody tries. It's
and
okay.
publish a paper regarding that research, which will be most uh, which will be a part of that degree.
Yeah, like a PhD student needs to publish at least one paper and journal paper basically. So by paper you mean now Soikat? I think was it Soikat?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Soikat, can you say like yes, definitely you have to publish a paper. So when can one publish a paper? Like you are submitting a manuscript, when will it be accepted? Do you have any idea?
Whenever
When
it's an unique
That
one.
when it is unique, and
when there is
whenever it
something
is
new
Yeah.
that
supported
has
by
not been done before, that has not been retrieved before.
Yeah, who said it last word? What did you say?
I say that when there is something new that had not been retrieved or worked on before.
Yeah. Okay, and somebody else said something apart from Sovik and Soikat. I think who said?
I have I have told that whenever that should be unique.
Yes,
Whatever someone is
yes.
researching, that should be unique. Otherwise, it
Mm,
will not be accepted.
Yeah, so topic can't be unique because one topic many people are working on. There will always be people. The world is a big place, so everybody. I mean, there will be many who would work on a topic. So by unique, you mean
But
the
some
content.
particular details should be unique.
Yeah.
On that topic, which is my field, like if I am doing a particular field with under that topic, that will be unique.
Yes.
But basically, the results would be like should be distinct and like should be showing and drawing out different results or new outcomes. So that stands for unique.
Yes. Yes. All answers are correct. Okay. So I'm moving on to my presentation. So I'll give you a brief idea. So suppose there is a subject and you choose an area of that. Now it is blank means you are starting your journey. You don't know anything about these things. So you are just going to start. So one thing clearly you can say this diagram or contents of this particular slide as Venn diagram. Like Venn diagram, it's not exactly Venn diagram though. So there is a subject. Subject you can substitute the subject with word like broad area. So there is always a broad area, and you want to work on a particular portion on it. So for example, if I give any example, like I work on robotics. So my work is on, and from that I have chosen legged robotics. It's two-legged, biped we say. So from robotics, biped is a subset of that whole robotics thing. Now again from biped there are many areas, different directions where you can work on. So again there will always be subsets. So there are quite a few subsets actually. So I have tried to show just by one subset. So one thing to note that the extremity of area is touching the extremity of subject at one point. So that means like this is available knowledge. Whatever has been done, as some of you mentioned here, that what PhD student needs to do something new or something unique, has to get something what is not there in literature, what has not been done before. So to do that, that is the correct answer. So to do that, what you need to do, like you have to first identify area from your subject, that what are the like where it touches the extremity, like what is the recent most development. So first you identify your subject and area, then you get knowledge level about it. So this is field means I basically try to portray that you know that now things, you know your subject and you know your area. mm, Good, but when you are going to do a PhD, then you know. But what is your role then? These are already there. What will be your contribution as a researcher? Hmm. Now you have to find the area. Like, see, you can see a dotted area around that your subject. So you can see the what can be the potential improvements of that subject and your area. So yeah, first you have to find out. So this is very important part. Now, this thing I will particularly comment. I will say share my experience, and I did not know that before entering PhD or just after entering PhD that this is so important, that this is so difficult to find out. But this will be my suggestion for anybody who would want to join PhD in future. You have to focus particularly on this, like what are the potential improvements. This is very important, and that one has to be very clear while you are in PhD. Like, of course, for first few months you might not know, and I will slowly come. What are the steps to start a PhD officially? What are the steps after starting? So, this potential improvement area you have to find out. This is very important. Now, this I did not know, and I have struggled in this particularly. Now after that, suppose you know some area, then you see there is a red point here. So you have filled the gap here. So basically the blank space that you have determined that there can be potential improvement around your subject, then in your particular area you have identified what is the knowledge and you have created that knowledge. So when you can create the knowledge and that is accepted by your committee members or your examiners or from editors at journal, reviewers at journal, sorry, not just editor, reviewers at journal papers, then you know you are there. You have successfully got your degree or like you are on the way at least. So you have to create that knowledge. So PhD, that is the basic difference between a BTech and PhD degree. So in BTech, there is a particular course structure, or even in a MTech or MS, whatever. MS is slightly different. I would compare with BTech and PhD. BTech, there is particular course structure. Yes, you have to do a project at the end, but again, there is no compulsion, and people don't expect from BTech students also that you have to create some knowledge. That is not possible 99% time, I would say. So, but the PhD is that you do your study, yes, but you have to create the knowledge. That is the most important thing to get a PhD. And most important, like this is broadly the steps of pursuing a PhD degree. So I hope it is clear what is PhD. So can anybody say? Did you get any idea? This slide make any sense? If anybody can answer. Yes. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So all you said that new and unique. So these are the things basically. Now entry into PhD. So the leftmost figure that you can see, that I've taken from internet, but that was kind of my situation. And I was not unique in that case, and that is quite situation for everybody. And especially since I went into PhD directly from BTech, so it was a tough time, I would say. So the steps are like uh, supervisor. You have to select your supervisor in your department. The thing is that you have to go to everybody or your potential supervisor. You have to check first. You have to go do a study like who work on the area you want to work on. Then you go to them and talk with them. So the project idea they have in mind or the idea you have in mind, does it follow the same way as your supervisor? So you do like then you have to interact, and then like when both parties agree, you fix on your supervisor. That is one important, very important step. Now at PhD, like everybody has to do some coursework. Now the amount of coursework is quite a little more for people who are directly joining from BTech, who don't have a MTech degree, and for MTech people it is little less. But now the difference, like that, those courses are same as your MTech students are doing. Normal postgraduate like MTech students are doing, courses are same. But like you don't know what are the courses you have to choose. Like there are many options you have. For them, most of the courses are fixed, at least at first sem. At one or two are there are electives, but you have to choose all courses which satisfy your, like which the knowledge will be useful for your research going forward. That is one very important. I had got many suggestions from many of my seniors that helped at that time. And obviously, when you will enter into any IIT, postgraduate is very different from undergraduate. The coursework will be high load, so you have to it is always more involving. So that you have to focus on. Like there will be loads, but again, since you are doing higher studies, the things will be interesting. Once you get interest, you get to know. And like there are other things, like when you are in an institute where you can see that there are these developments people have done, some researchers have done. So when you are joining as a PhD, some of your colleagues or your ex-students under your guide, they have done these things, that will inspire you. So, oh, this can be done with this knowledge. Then you will get motivated automatically. So yes, there will be stress as it is shown in the figure, but that is same for anything in life. So that stress is good basically, and obviously you are just entered into the research field, so that is quite a big field. You will first you will understand that is same for everybody, especially for people who have directly joined from BTech. This is, I can guarantee that when you just enter into the research field, you see you say papers, you think like, what is this? Like the first thing that comes in your mind, and this is very normal human uh, reflex thought, I would say, that I would never ever be able to match this kind of work. But that's the first thought everybody has. So that always happens. But again, slowly, people get to it. I mean, gather that knowledge and can start understanding things. Now coming things that kept motivating. So first point is of course money. Like I'll be brutally honest with you. I'll be very frank in this whole lecture, whole presentation, or whole interactive session. Of course, when you joined as a PMRF, and that was the first time PMRF was organized. So that money was a motivating factor. Like you may study a lot, but that at least at that age also, I was 23 when you pass out, the 22, 23 around that age. So that is of course one aspect. But there are other students also who don't get as much as money. So, but how do they motivate themselves? So basically, you get the fruits of hard work. So you put out a lot of effort for understanding the coursework, and like there are assignments. So one very important component that postgraduate study is assignment. So you have to do, and many of the times the assignments will be like even the teacher does not know how to solve it. They're they are taken from very recent publications, and they just give it to you. So this is really involving, but the more difficult it is, obviously at times you might feel like odd nahi hoga, we can't go any further. But you will always the more difficult scenario you face, or the more difficult concept you want to understand, the better you get at your subject, at your course. That is very important. So that happened at I had coursework for 2 semesters in IIT. So that was something I felt like it. Yes, it is tough when you look at for first time, but slowly you enter into it, you see that, oh, you start to understand, you start to love it. And luckily I was getting good grades, satisfactory grades, so that was also good thing. And as I mentioned earlier, that there are other like you see a lot of work going on in your research group, in your lab. So those things inspire you. So okay, so with this knowledge I can do this. This is really exciting. So apart from the any great thought or anything, when you know that this course will help me to get knowledge of doing that, there is, I mean, that feelings is second to none, I would say, because that is the strongest motivation. And very important is good company. By good company, I generally mean here the good lab, go to your lab mates, or the group members. Mean by group members, I mean the same people uh, under your supervisor who are working with your supervisor. So that helps. Like you always discuss things, you interact. They are discussing about they're talking about their research work. You talk about your, then where the things are same, and you can always give input. You can get input. So that always helps. And another important component is teaching assistantship. So as I said earlier, that I have always loved teaching. Group study and teaching. This is experience from my college BTech days, that I have always loved it. So when teaching assistantship came for the first time, again it occurred to me like first thing that happened to me, that am I good enough to teach BTech students there? BTech students at IIT Delhi, they have got so many good ranks. Like they are the jewels of the country, best merited people with best of the merit of the country. So am I good enough? So slowly when you start doing that, and first you remain very underconfident, but then again senior, like mostly you are not alone in the teaching assistantship group. Like for one particular course there are many, more than one, at least 3 4 TAs are there, at least for people like for BTech courses. So you get help from them and you slowly learn, and then you, for lab, suppose you make them demonstrate one experiment or demonstrate one concept, then that gives you a lot of confidence. Okay, so I that happened to me very well, and like you get to it, you when you start doing that, yes, that becomes a daily feature, daily activity also, so that can also get boring. Then again you find ways to keep things interesting, you find ways to evolve. Like today you are showing one experiment, tomorrow when you will show, then you can have some additional input or additional insights, or you can have some, you can start constructing some additional questions, insightful questions to them. So this is always fun. I have felt it was fun, and it is fun till now at least. So that kept me motivating. So I will talk about entry into research formally. Now by formally I mean, so there is a process that I said I would discuss. So there is a exam called called comprehensive exam, and this terminology may vary from institute to institute, but the basic idea is same across all Indian institutes at least, that there is a comprehensive exam after 18 months. So maximum that is time, where that time period is for you to do all the required coursework. You need to have some required credits, and then you have time to find out the research gap, as I mentioned, or potential improvement, you can say so. Then you propose research proposal. So comprehensive exam has 3 components. Again, it varies inside the institute. It can vary from different department to department or from supervisor to supervisor. But I am talking of myself, what I went through. There is a written plus simulation exam. So this is conducted by supervisor. This was conducted by my supervisors. That they give you a question and you have to solve the answer, like solve the question, and like those questions are from the basic concept which you need to know, which is must for your research, and that is decided by your supervisors. And not just written, like they give you simulation work. Now when I am talking about simulation, I will get back to you. Like I mentioned that I learned BTech MATLAB in my BTech days. So that was really handy even at the start of PhD. Now this exam happened 18 months after my entrance, after my admission, but this was really helpful. But again, that when I said that there are things which make you feel that you are struggling. Yes, everybody struggles initially. So that was one. MATLAB was one thing that really made me feel like, yes, you know this, like you were there, you belong there. So MATLAB I knew, I had good hand on it. Obviously, I have learned a lot of new things there, and there is never end of learning. But that at least made me feel that okay, I can solve these things. Whatever they are saying, I can simulate it on MATLAB. So this exam was written plus simulation. So you have to do a written exam and a simulation is basically take home, that there's some problem they will give that can be from recent papers also. You have to simulate this result and show to us. Then research proposal, then that particular thing that I said, that you find out potential improvements and you propose it in front of the committee. In IIT we call it SRC, Senior Research Committee, IIT Delhi we say, but this terminology again can vary from institute to institute. And after that there is a viva, like you have proposed something, but they will test you whether you are knowledgeable enough in that area or for those things. That is always tested. Now this I will share my experience. So this written for simulation I failed in first attempt. So there is a criteria set by my supervisor that that is basically 75% of marks one needs to obtain in the exam, and written I got less than that in first attempt. So first attempt, so my comprehensive exam stopped there. Then second time they took, and second time I passed. Then again research proposal when I proposed. So the after first draft when I showed to my supervisor, he was not happy with it. It won't be good enough. So again I took a month's time actually at that time that I would have to do some more literature survey. That I would actually the as I said earlier that where I struggled was to find the potential gap clearly. That should not be vague. You have to think them with clarity. You know exactly what are the gaps. So that I took little more time, and thankfully it worked. Like I could find it properly, and I presented it in front of the committee, and they were happy with it. And Viva, thankfully, research proposal and Viva happened in same day in IIT Delhi. So that day was lucky for me or good for me, I would say, because I was successful in the Viva. So that happened. Like I got the point why I'm saying this, that I struggled, and that happens to many actually. Obviously, there are many who don't get stuck, but there are many who get stuck also. So that is very normal. So if anybody here joins PhD in future and finds out that it is tough, don't get scared. Like that happens to everybody. I mean, many, not everybody, but many. So it's okay. It's a normal thing. I have to get some motivational talk because I think I have talked a lot about struggles and all. I have been like you might start to think that I am talking negative things more. So I would want to know from audience at this point. So anybody has any question? I have
I'm
said a lot.
Shishobhan,
Yes,
fourth year
yes.
mechanical. So one question that I am asking on behalf of my juniors who are PhD aspirants. So suppose somebody has a research topic in mind, not a particular topic but a domain, and they find their professor of choice in their preferred college, but after 2 years of working in it, they realize that this domain is not for me, or they get burned out. Generally, if I may add, generally this may happen because of the added computational programming aspect in the core mechanical or electrical fields. Nowadays, all the IITs are preferring that you have to code your way through or not use any pre-made softwares. So sometimes what happens, what students feel that this is not the thing that they expected while coming into the college for PhD, but now like they feel burnt out. So how to cope with that?
Yes, that's a good question actually. Yeah, that happens. And firstly, the reason they choose, they tell that you have to code by yourself. So I can talk of my experience here. Firstly, so my supervisor is same. He always prefers that you should whatever you are saying or formulating, you should code them by yourself. So even from if people are from mechanical, electrical, I would want to say that MATLAB is very useful tool, most and very common tool. You do not necessarily need to get scared or have a negative mindset that oh coding how can I survive. So you can survive. So you can give it a try, but yes, and as Sushoban mentioned more prominently that after 2 years one may feel burnt out or feel that this is not my area, like I can't do it. So actually there are two options. Like one, you can leave PhD, of course, that is always the option. But I can tell you one thing that the second option is persist with it. So this is one thing I would say that again I mentioned that people get stuck at different levels. This is very normal. You first time when it happens to someone that I can't do it, like I am not just progressing, which I initially thought I would be able to, but right now I am thinking that this is different. I am seeing. So that does not necessarily mean you have to leave. Like that will be my suggestion that people at different stages of PhD mostly they feel that just we can't go forward, but they don't give up. Like the problem that happens that especially when you are going from BTech that you what you think most of the cases that is not true. What you think of PhD that is not right. That is the fundamental that is thing happens, and even people who are going after MTech that happens. So the reason that after 2 years you see that you're getting advice from supervisor that you move on in some other way, so that is because that is the only way to go forward. Because if you get stuck in the previous things, like if you don't evolve or if you don't change yourself, then you won't be able to make any mark in your field. So that's why this suggestion comes. I mean, they don't come for any other reason. That's why they suggest. And this evolving thing is very important. You have to always improve. You have to always improve yourself, and you have to be up to date. So I think that yes, there will be time like this kind of thing, but you have to try to understand the why is someone saying that, and and if I say it more clearly, if you don't know, like sometimes what happens that if you use some inbuilt tools, you don't get insights to something. But when you code by yourself, you get insight. Like that happens to my case also. I work in dynamic behavior, basically Newton's equation as we learn, a little improved, a little more difficult version of that. So that happens to me also. Like you can, like, if people know that there is a tool called MATLAB Simulink, so people can use that. Of course, they're welcome to use. But my supervisor always says that code by yourself. So you will get insights, and if you don't get insights, what happened? You will not be able to publish a paper. Now that is more honest version of it. Like to make a mark means you have to publish a paper and you have to get it. I mean, you have to make a thesis. So your thesis won't be valid if you don't get insight, and if you don't get insight, you are not getting any new thing basically. So I like this experience again, it can vary from people to people, but if you ask for my suggestion, that persist with it, don't give up, try to understand why is your supervisor insisting on it, and then work it out. And of course, discuss with your lab mates or group mates.
Sara, thank you so much. I have another question, if you may.
Yeah, please.
For example, I'm taking an example to explain my question. For example, metamaterials, for doing the lab work, we have to wait for around a year after placing order of those materials, because those come from foreign places, right? So
Okay.
in that year, generally what students do is they prepare the documentation or write-up, but that is one period that you are waiting and you don't know that what you are going to do is going to be successful or not. So how to deal with that anxiety?
That always happens. This is very common anxiety, and that's the point of a research, that you are waiting or you are investing too much time into something that might not work out. That happened with me also. You have to just take it, like it is as it is. That is why research. That is why it is research, and that is why it is difficult, if I may say so. Like that is why it is called research. That uncertainty is always there. So like this is a mental thing, like you have to be mentally ready for it, like, and think positively, that more than focusing on the negative aspect, what if I may fail, or what if this doesn't work out. I would not say that you may fail. Failing is different thing. You have nothing to do at many instances. So you have to, this is a mental thing, like you have to prepare yourself mentally for this.
Thank you, Dana.
Yeah, someone else is asking a question, I think.
Dada, I have a doubt. Can I ask?
Yes, please.
Is it always mandatory to have a high CGPA to like for direct PhD?
Yeah, so I expected this question would come. So see, whatever it matters is that the criteria that organization or whoever is floating this PhD sets. Suppose it is 8 somewhere, 8.5 somewhere, it depends. So that is only important. So after you get into the interview, like you are eligible for interview, your CGPA does not matter. From there on, your conception matters, like how much you know your subject or topics. That matters, nothing else.
Okay,
Sir,
Dada.
I have a question
Yeah.
related to mechatronics. So in the vehicles and the engine system, there are some something called ECU. So so my question is that how a mechatronics engineers made the system, or in the involvement of a mechatronics engineer or robotics engineer to develop the system which can control the mechanical system.
Yes. So what is your question? Like how engineers do it, or what is the contribution
No,
from a
my
researcher?
yeah. My contribution is question is that how a mechatronics engineer contribute its or her research interest in that particular field to develop the ECU or electronic control system, which ultimately control the mechanical system. Means if you take the example for a ABS system, so there is some ECU is placed inside the vehicle, so which can detect the wheel locking, and then it will activate the ABS system or not. So my
Yes.
the question. So my
Yeah.
question is how a research interest of a mechatronics engineer can develop this system or to improve
Yeah.
the performance of the system.
Yes. So from here I can reflect on one important point. So suppose you want to develop a system like that. So you need to have some knowledge about control systems and engineering. So I don't know about current scenario, but when I was in college, this was not taught in our college. This was not part of mechanical engineering. This was a part of electrical engineering, but not of a mechanical engineering. And in IIT, I have seen that in mechanical engineering, this subject is taught. So that basic knowledge about control system is important, and then you have to know that what are the components available in market for this. Now this is very practical thing. Like you have to know what are the controllers, what are the devices you need. Then you develop it as a team. Like you can make CAD drawing and go on. Like then make 3D printing also you can do, and from then you can connect parts, or you can buy also. This thing controller you always have to buy. Now from research point of view, this is important point. So the PhD student or PhD is different from a project, very different. Like this was also in my I used to think that you are doing PhD, so you are working, like I used to think like you are, suppose you can develop something, you're developing something, and that is good enough for PhD. But PhD is different from developing hardware. Especially for this domain, I would say that if like this technology, like the control technique and all, this is well known already. This is well developed much earlier. So and you just have to if you have to develop hardware, that is a part of a project, and that is mostly part of a BTech project. People do that in BTech, but in PhD, if you do that, then if the same problem you face, suppose if that is the problem formulation for your research, then you have to find out that what are the how can you improve the controlled performance of the system. So how they behave more stably, smoother motion. That will be a PhD part, PhD component of it. And project component, obviously you need to know the basic theory and hardware knowledge, like what are the available ones in market and which are better, and then you have to optimize between cost you have, the budget you have, and the quality of the controller or any other component. That's all. Does this answer, Somodip?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Any more question? Yeah.
Dada, again, Sushobhan, one more question. So, for example, in my BTech days, I am working on microfluidics or the fluid domain, but later on, I decide to go into a domain of soft robotics. So, will it hinder my project appraisal or the project approval phase?
No. Like if you are getting interest, then you like you if you are knowledgeable enough, nothing will hinder. It always happens. I mean, you like something fast. It is like if you, as I said, that if you always are looking for knowledge around you, then you will always find something interesting, and that will always happen. So don't worry about it. If you think you are getting the exposure in soft robotics, go with it. No issue.
Okay. Thank you, Dada.
So anybody else? Okay, so I'll go back to my presentation. So if you have any question, you can stop me anytime and you can ask question. So some Gyan motivational talk, as is the main reason for this session. So first of all, PhD, if you want to do PhD in particular subject, if you don't like that subject, do not do. That will be statutory warning from me that this might sound a little negative, but if you are not knowledgeable enough, like if you don't have your fundamentals correct, like you can learn different things, but if you don't have fundamentals and you don't like that topic, do not go for PhD. Do not. Simply do not. And not just PhD or even MTech, I would say, higher studies, because postgraduate courses are always more involving and you have to do more, you have to go more deeper always. So this is thing. And when you are convinced that you would prepare for a PhD, you would want to do PhD or higher studies. Now everything I say for PhD is related to higher studies. It is applicable for MTech also or MS also. So as I mentioned earlier also, that subject knowledge, brush up this first. This preparation PhD is very similar for me, at least for preparation of GATE. It might vary from for others. For others, people have different experience, but that's how I worked and it worked for me. And that's how you prepare, like you make your fundamentals correct and you go on with it. Now research plan, you propose something, but definitely that is not clear cut. Never. At BTech level you cannot have. But again, it is important that you have a plan, because you can always build on something. Like you can always go developing something if you have some fundamentals. So first step has to be always there. First step will be difficult, but it has to be there. So always don't get scared to think of research plan just because I'm saying this. So this is important. Like I have said that you can't have clear cut research plan quite a few times. So but that should not stop you from thinking, like that should not make you feel that I should not think in that way. You should always think. This just gets you, it will get better with time. You will get better with time. Now after entering PhD, if anybody enters PhD, I think many of you will be interested to in future. So first thing will be ready to learn always. I said that from surrounding, you just keep, you have to always evolve yourself. You have to evolve. Otherwise, like you have to be up to date. Otherwise, you probably would lag behind. Not probably, you definitely lag behind. And again, the scary part, like the formulations are scary actually, and at least in my domain. So you can trust, like you are a human being, they are also a human being. Once you are in it, go for it. Just go for it. You can do it. You can understand and then go on formulating further. And always PhD is meant for work in a group. Always feel free to communicate with supervisor or your lab mates, group mates. This is very important. Again, these realizations had come to me after joining PhD, after a few months actually. These things you learn. You just don't have a knowledge, like these things always you will realize after going through experience. Hello?
Excuse me.
Yes.
I think your slides are not changing.
Motivational talk, is it there? Which slide can you see?
Things that kept motivating.
Oh. Okay. Let me share again my screen. So can you see my screen now? Hello?
Not yet.
You can't see my screen.
Yes, sir, you are on slide number 11.
Wait. Yeah, slide number 11, yes. Can you see that? What is the title? Can anybody read it out?
Yes, sir, some Gyan and read motivational talk.
So now I have made it full screen. Are the text coming?
Yes, sir.
Now I have changed slide. Is it coming now?
Yes, it's
Coming?
coming.
Okay. So just last slide, yeah. So there is one point that take care of your mental health. Now people don't generally mention it, but I thought I should share it because this is important. That when I say take care of that, if there is any taboo in your mind, just get over it. This is probably applicable for any person working anywhere, not related to PhD, but for PhD students, it is very important. One thing you can do, that whatever I am saying, you can search on Quora. I think everybody has a Quora account. So you see that many of the ex-PhD students will talk about this thing. So this mental health, I mean, suppose it happens that researchers block, many people say. You wake up at some day and you had planned last night that you would work on this formulation or this particular thing. But this is difficult, you know. Just one day you work, why should, I mean, there is no point in doing that, I would be failure anyway. So this is very important, this mental mapping, and that's where supervisor's role or the group member's role come in. That as many of you know, James Watt said that I failed 99 or many times and I just succeeded in one time, and that stayed in the history. So it is like that. Maybe this is going little more philosophical, but that is actually what happens in reality. So take care of mental health, try to feel positive, and if you feel negative, just try to investigate why are you feeling negative and why are you not just wanting to work on. So investigate that, get very clear in that aspect, and then come back. And you can always take some break. I think that always that provision is there. So now coming to one second. Has my slide changed? Some other points? Can anybody confirm?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So one point that I have said a lot about PhD, but one important point I have not said, that your supervisor is there to guide you, but your supervisor will never know the exact solution to your problem. He will know many ways, possible ways, like he will have 3 or 4 ways in mind. As somebody asked, I think Sushovan asked me, suppose you are waiting for material, like for him it is even tougher for anybody. Suppose you are waiting for material because your supervisor told you work on this, you might get this result. Obviously, without approval from supervisor, you can't even order officially. So supervisor thought that it might work. But in reality, it can happen it can happen that this is not giving you the result that you wanted. This can happen. So reality is always your supervisor can guide you, like he can show you 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 ways. But this is your problem. Always remember, your problem formulation that you want to work on or you want to achieve some result is your problem first, then your supervisor's problem. You are owner of that problem. So one has to start owning that problem. This is again a realization came to me after joining my PhD, not before I did know it. So this is very important. And the reason that PhD students are like your supervisor, you know, that's what the importance or significance of the word that researcher comes out, that nobody knows what is going to happen, even a supervisor, but you are working on it. So you are not just a manpower. Like if suppose you know the way and someone is telling you do it, you will get the result, and you got it, and it happens every time, then you are not innovating something, you are not doing anything new. So that's the significance of PhDs and compared to any other job that we get after BTech. And I'm not demeaning anybody, but this is a fact that happens mostly, unless you are working on some R&D sector, that you are more than a manpower. When you have done PhD or even MTech project, same thing. You are more than a manpower. And my suggestion would be try to do TAUT from heart, because TAUT can actually be very hectic at times. And teaching is fun for me. I know it is a personal thing. It may vary from for others, but try to do it. Like you have to do it anyway. So try to enjoy it. Try to find ways to enjoy it. And as Sushovan said, and I also said, that it is uncertain. Your PhD, you don't know what will be the result. When you are going to get PhD, you don't know. That's the reality. And that's the fun. That's the fun. So now I will share something that about my work. I have talked a lot about generalizing it. So these are very interesting points of being a PhD, doing a PhD. This is a conference I attended, INACOM 2019. This happened at Mandi, as IIT Mandi. So as if anybody of you know that Mandi is actually a 1 hour journey from the city Mandi. IIT Mandi is actually 1 hour journey from the city Mandi, and the city Mandi is a 7 hour or little more than that bus journey from Delhi. It is very inside, and the whole campus is built on a mountain. So it is on an uneven plain. So, and it happened in December. So it was cold as much as you can think. Like it is almost 3 degree or 4 degree. Even less than that it was there. So again, I really enjoyed the scenic beauty there. And that was my first time conference presentation in any in my life. So I presented 2 papers actually. One was for my coursework and one was from my BTech project in collaboration with Professor Hui here from NIT Durgapur. So that was fun. That was a good experience. But the most important points are like you get to interact with people who are working on your field, and you get to learn recent developments. So not just seeing their presentation, which is the official time of interaction, you can meet the people outside also, and anybody, like everybody will be more than happy to share their research work with you. Like talk about share. I mean, not exactly. Like, they will not give whole details, but talk about it. Anybody would want to do it. So it's always fun, and there is nothing to lose if you attend a conference. So this is one important. Like that would be my suggestion. Like if you join PhD, try to attend conferences. That would always help. Now coming to my work, I will share some glimpses from my work. So my work is on biped robotics, as I said. So this is a simulation work I'll show. So this I did in MATLAB. So this is from a paper, but I modified it to some extent. So let it see. It's a little funny. So it's a biped. It's a system is working, and it's on the plane, the curved plane. So the problem is that you have to maintain its stability so that it does not fall down. When human walks, we are conscious that we will be able to maintain stability. But when a robotic system, you make them to walk, there is always challenge. So could get it simulation wise. We have planned to do these things in practical by buying a proper hardware, proper robot, and do it. These are in our future plans. So this is just to show my research work. This is just it. And this is done in MATLAB. So that's where my MATLAB knowledge came into use. If I did not know MATLAB, to come into this would take even more time. So knowing MATLAB is very important, at least for my work. Now, as I said, that do not just know your work, go get to know. You should be able to demonstrate any of your lab activities which are remotely related or even not remotely related to your research work. So you will see here pick and place operation. This is a KUKA robot. People who work in robotics and know this. So this is from a Parlab IIT. You would know. This is picking and then placing at particular place. This is done by vision sensors, so controllers. There are use of it. My work is not related to that, but like I get very interested in this work. And in right side you see there is a Saksha. So basically it's a device. It's a projector, as you can see. A projector, it projects this image, and this is run by this system. This is my laptop actually, and a program runs inside that reflects this, and this is a sensor, laser sensor. So what happens that Saksha means you want to make people literate for kids basically. It is smallly written that D for dog. So you have to, if you want to find it, suppose a kid's job will be to touch. If you touch a dog image here, so it will give you correct point. So it's a fun activity, fun research activity done. So it is for fun. I mean, for students it is fun, but this is a serious research activity actually. So I know to demonstrate it again, but I don't know any technical details of it. Now going to software work also, that KUKA robot you saw that we have two softwares. One is RoboAnalyzer. So this RoboAnalyzer, it means this is a CAD model for KUKA robot, and with this software, we can always perform some simulation, kinematic and dynamic simulation. So before going into actual operation, we can always check whether this operation is valid or not, like physically we can do or not. This is very interesting. This has been developed over 20 years. So this is very interesting thing and quite useful. If anybody wants to explore it, I can send you links, and link is mentioned before below, so I can share. Another thing is ReadySim, the recursive dynamic simulator. So this actually I am involved in developing this particular app. This is developed using MATLAB App Designer, the recent feature of MATLAB. So I can show you this video that this is a mechanism. It is running with a stick figure. It may not be very clear. So basically this is very recursively, like if anybody from coding background would understand this. So recursively done means it is very time efficient. So this is done by IIT Delhi and IIT Jodhpur students and teachers, some teachers. So the main reason I mention it that we are organizing an internship on this particular recursive dynamic, that you can learn it and you can like use for your coursework or to understand mechanisms well. So if anybody interested, they can contact me in this particular thing. Now coming to pros and cons of PhD. So I said a lot of things. So like if you want me to summarize pro, it gives you a lot of knowledge about life actually. Now this is a little philosophical, but as I said that you will get through a lot of steps and you will understand that what are the points where you need to improve yourself as a person. That is important. And critical thinking means like suppose somebody is presenting something, you can ask the right questions or more when very pertinent questions. That is the critical thinking. And you that what happened to my case, that I got like my critical thinking improved, but like that is not restricted to my PhD work only. That has evolved me as a person altogether. You are more confident after your PhD or during your PhD, I think, in your life. Now, again, there is a disclaimer that whatever I am saying, this at least this particular slide, this is very personal point. Take away. So this is something my personal view. It may not match with others. So, and this is a bit narcissistic thing thought that different happiness to say I am a researcher. So when I say researcher, it means a lot of things, especially the uncertainty part that makes things interesting, I feel. So, and there is infinite opportunities after you do a PhD. And now people may ask, what are the cons? Really? I mean, this is open for discussion. Anybody can ask me. I'll quickly finish my slides and it will be open for discussion. So I don't think there is any con, and anybody can share some light on it. So don't think like I have said too many serious things. So we enjoy our life too, and that's especially advantage of being in a metro cities like Delhi. This is the leftmost figure is from go-karting. It's in Gurgaon. The below figure is a paintball. This is in Noida. So you can always visit from Delhi to Gurgaon or Noida. Or this is our week picture. This was actually dinner or lunch. This was a lunch. We used to hang out weekly or bi-weekly with our lab group members or sometimes with others. So we make life enjoyable. I mean, there is life beyond research also. So it's not boring. These are my contact details. If anybody wants to contact me regarding anything, my LinkedIn name and Facebook name are Alinger Dan, as it is mentioned everywhere in this slide or the flyer that was presented for this interactive session. So my mail IDs are there. If anybody interested, can mail me there. I generally reply to everyone. And I communicate with others also, from my seniors or professors through these two mail IDs. Now done. Now ask your questions. So now ask. I will request everybody to ask their question.
So,
You
so
didn't
few more
elaborate.
questions can ask now.
Yes. Hello. I'm sorry I did not get it. Who was it?
You didn't elaborate much on the cons. So if I may ask that, uh, should one be very sorted in their lives, aims, what they want to do in their life, like what they want to achieve out of the PhD degree before going for this whole painstaking journey of 5+ years? Or should it be like, if you have mentioned many times that you are interested in teaching, that but there might be people who are not interested in teaching but still want to pursue this degree. What is in it for them? What would keep them motivating in these times of uncertainty? What would keep them motivating in
Yeah.
these situations where other people around them are getting settled in life, doing well, getting placed in jobs, and they are like still struggling?
Yeah. So yes. So first of all, this is very personal thing. Like it varies from person to person, and somebody. I mean, this is quite. This is subjective. I can't say about a general thing. So I just, as I mentioned, that this is a personal opinion, that I don't think there is con. But as you mentioned, people might feel other issues also. Like now again, getting settled is also a very relative term. Different people have different um, representation in their mind of that word, get phrase. People think differently. They interpret differently. So this is something one has to think before PhD, of course. But as I said, during PhD also, this idea may change. Like suppose somebody wants to be teacher, one may, like, suppose your uh, priority changes. You want to do something else after PhD. You want to join industry or some R&D sector, and it's a function of what offer you get also. Like you want to do teaching but you are not getting that offer, so that can happen. So one has to be mentally, I mean, there has to be a plan. I think people who join PhD generally do have a plan, but it may change. So just one has to remain a little flexible, I think, and people adjust. Like it's a personal thing. Like what, when you see some other people getting settled in as per their interpretation, so like you have to deal it as it is. So I don't have any particular answer for this. This is very personal opinion, and different people can have different interpretations. Hmm. Yes, does it answer question?
Kind of, yeah.
So anybody else?
Any questions, people?
The one more question which I am asking on behalf of my juniors.
Hmm.
Because of this pandemic, the networking aspect of our branch is gone. Like be it the first or the second year or even the current third year. So
Hmm.
how could they improve? Like for example, when we were in college, we were constantly discussing about each other's research interests or projects or a college competition or participating in college competitions like Baha or Robocon. But now these are not taking place at all. So how
Yeah,
to
that's the problem.
overcome that?
Yeah, actually, you can never overcome it fully, and this is one thing I also feel. Like when I'm in home right now. I was home for 1 year, almost 1 year in 2022, some part of 21. Then I went back to college. Then again I have come back. So this is something like that interaction is missing, and I feel for you guys more, because in BTech student that is the time. I mean, you interact more, you get exposure. So I would suggest one thing, that try to do networking through social media sites now. Now everything is coming into social media. Follow people, relevant people in LinkedIn. Discuss with your close friend groups, whatever WhatsApp, whatever way you can. So important net component of networking would be to do it through social media, especially LinkedIn for these things.
And another follow-up question would be some good resources to learn software skills like MATLAB or CATIA and some self-project ideas. Because nowadays, since like no college competitions are going on, the very need for learning this are not there, so students are not learning. Specifically the present second year mechanical.
Yeah, so MATLAB community support is quite good. So I think MATLAB has series of videos in YouTube for beginners. The resource is there. CATIA I don't know. Like CATIA I have not used much. Then on I moved to SolidWorks. Community support is there, and there are videos for SolidWorks also. I know. So you have to start from scratch. Now again the motivation thing comes into picture. That's some you have to manage personally. Like people have to manage. Online is the only solution.
Okay, thank you, Dada.
Does anyone have any more question? If not, then we can conclude the session. This was a great learning session, Da. We thank you for your participation and we wish you all the best for your future endeavors. And we hope for more learning opportunities from you. We present to you the certificate as a token of appreciation.
Thank you, thank you. It was a good experience for me as well.
certificate.
It is present over there beside the leave button to share the screen.
Is it visible? Like,
Wait, I mean, I have stopped sharing my screen. What is it? Is it in chat section?
No.
ये बोली ना, just beside the leave button, the share content. So after sharing the content, choose the whole window, then present.
Yeah. We present to you the certificate as a certificate for appreciation for participation in this great learning session. It was a good session and we enjoyed a lot. Thanks, Pratama.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you.